back to In Focus. On this show, we've talked a lot about how President Biden has weaponized the FBI and DOJ to intimidate political rivals. If you tuned into the top of the show, we discussed this in depth. We saw this last year when Attorney General Merrick Garland issued a memo asking the FBI to investigate school board threats, labeling parents as domestic terrorists, or in August when the DOJ's FBI conducted a raid on President Trump's Mar-a-Lago home for no justified reason. And last week, when over 20 FBI agents armed with rifles raided and arrested pro-life activist Mark Houck for protecting his son from a verbal harassment from an abortion worker. Mind you, this is happening at the same time that our nation's cities are wrestling with a surge in violent crime, real domestic terrorism. Our next guest points this out in his op-ed. He says that the FBI and DOJ have, quote, made it clear that their aggressive political agenda is more important than the people they serve. Going on to say this has come at a tremendous cost to the country, particularly low-income and minority citizens, and if continued will result in a further division between these agencies and the American people. He joins me now to explain further. Co-chairman of Project 21, Horace Cooper. Horace, it's great to have you on the program. Where did the FBI go so wrong? We all know anyone with 2 eyes and 2 ears and 2 brain cells to rub together know that the FBI has become a partisan propaganda wing for Biden, for the Department of Justice. Where did we go wrong?
Well, it's pretty clear that the FBI is off track. It's pretty clear that the biggest takeaway is that the American people will pay the price of this, because it's the American people who the FBI is supposed to be serving. Let me just make this point. The FBI is the premier legal law enforcement organization on planet Earth, and it's protecting the crown jewel on planet Earth, the United States and its people. When the FBI doesn't give the kind of attention that Congress intended, like with carjacking, and insisting that they prioritize carjackings, which are now operating at some of the highest levels since Congress ever passed the law, it's you and I heading down the road that end up paying the price. This is the same that's true for trafficking in obscenity, in child pornography, and the like. When the FBI gets off course, the people who rely on it to protect them pay the price.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly right. And in the article, you mentioned the Summer of Love 2020, when BLM literally tore the country apart. Every major American city was going up in flames. Police precincts were being lit on fire. Several people, I think around 24 people, died as a result of the BLM riots in 2020. And the FBI, they recently leaked this militia violent extremism training video, how to look out for it, where to spot it. That wasn't included in it. Antifa wasn't included in it. The BLM, none of that was included in it. It was pro-Second Amendment groups and Gadsden flags. Those are what you should look for when looking for violent militia extremism, not people who kill dozens of people and burn down every major American city.
Summer of Love led to such carnage, nearly a dozen people killed, but in terms of property loss, over $1 billion, in fact, rivaling what a hurricane loss might be. And you would think that would put this at the top of the radar of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. But instead, in case after case after case, cities like Seattle, Minneapolis, what we see is that they've pushed prosecutions of those violations to the back of the bus. Again, if you're wealthy, if you're rich, you've got security. You may have a personal security detail. You live in safe areas. These things may not matter to you. But for the working class, for the Main Street of America, and particularly for minorities, if the FBI doesn't do its job, they pay the price. Unfortunately, there's been a higher preference for settling political scores. With regard to Mar-a-Lago, as I mentioned, What we see here is a dispute over the Presidential Records Act. This kind of escalation with the FBI didn't happen with Barack Obama. It didn't happen with Bill Clinton. It has never actually happened with any prior president. What we see with Mr. Hawk is a case of a father being pursued with a squad of FBI agents over an event that occurred allegedly that even the local woke prosecutor wasn't willing to pursue, and no criminal, even at the federal court, no U.S. attorney was prepared to pursue. This is an unbelievable diversion that represents the politicization of the FBI, and America pays the price.
How do you forecast that we come to a solution for this? Obviously, one big solution will come in 2024. Is that our only option? Is that our only hope for recovering the FBI, for saving it from its inevitable compromisation that we've seen with Joe Biden being in charge of it? Or is there anything else that we can do to balance the scales of justice a little bit?
Well, FBI Director Wray and the president both have really jeopardized America's willingness to trust the FBI. And what we're looking at is the ability of using this premier law enforcement to prevent terrorism incidents and other types of major crimes losing the kind of support that it needs. After this upcoming election, I predict that a Republican Congress, both Senate and House, is going to probably have to call in Chairman Wray or Director Wray and ask why these kind of priorities are occurring, and they may in fact reduce funding for the FBI as a consequence. It would be far smarter for the FBI, before that can occur, to actually redirect itself toward the things that have both mainstream support and are well within the wheelhouse and the calling of the FBI.
Yeah, totally agree. Horace Cooper from Project 21, great to have you on the show, and great article. Thank you.
Thank you.